All right, let's talk about Jawaan Taylor, a very unique player to talk about. Someone that for the Jacksonville Jaguars back in the day was, projected to actually be a pretty high first rounder, fell all the way to the second round. Jaguars snatched him up saying, "Hey, let's get this guy." And it's had mixed results. If you want to look at everyone's favorite Pro Football Focus grades, you can see that, the 4 years he was with Jacksonville, the overall grades were not great. He floated around 60, which is kind of a bit of a replacement level type grade. He was usually behind the eight ball there, but typically his pass blocking was significantly better than his run blocking. So that's why a lot of Chiefs fans weren't that concerned of him coming over. I think they were concerned with the price tag. He was, getting $20 million a year, and that felt a bit high for a guy who was mostly just a solid pass blocker who couldn't really run block. But still, they figured he should be okay. Although you see at the bottom of this list, PFF grade said that he was at his worst this past year. His pass blocking was still, again, fine, but certainly nothing to write home about. A 64.6. That's passable. He's a playable player, but nothing much more than that. And the run blocking was pretty not great. And yes, they do run the ball, even though they obviously care about passing a lot more. So what do we make of all of this? Well, again, I don't just look at PFF grades. I want to watch the film. I want to see, is it true? Because it does happen. Well, I would say that more often than not, when I see a PFF grade and then I watch the film, I agree with the PFF grade. Or if I've watched the film and then look at the PFF grade, I agree. It doesn't always work out that way. I do have my disagreements. So I wanted to go back, rewatch a couple of games from Jawaan Taylor, even though I did, pay attention to him closely last year, but still wanted to go back, give him a fair shake and see, is he actually a player who maybe is struggling, or is he, just someone who PFF graders don't like? Well, let's start off with the Super Bowl, which I'm going to be honest, just did not go well for Jawaan Taylor. In fact, had the 49ers held on to win that game, I think one of the big things we would have talked about was how they just had no real answer for Nick Bosa and for Chase Young, where, for Jawaan Taylor, hey, a lot of guys struggle against Nick Bosa, but still, watch him, blocking him one-on-one here. As you see, Bosa's going to, start off going more towards the outside right here. This isn't anything bad by Taylor, but I do feel like sometimes I would like to see Taylor's hands get more involved on some of these plays, especially against a guy like Bosa who's so good at taking advantage of that. Watch him get more towards the inside, and the only reason he wasn't able to get a sack right there was because someone else lost their matchup a little bit earlier, but that was not going well for Taylor. And to be honest, this was just constantly happening. There was constant pressure on the right side in the Super Bowl until the second half when they started helping him out. Like, this play kind of, to me, perfectly sums up what happened between, Mahomes and Taylor last season. The way this play is going to work is, again, you see the one-on-one block right here against Bosa. When this play begins, there is a chip, so there was help right there. And because of that, Bosa can't get more towards the outside the way he likes to. But even with the help, watch Bosa still get an inside move, creates contact on Mahomes, but Mahomes is so good, he gets out of it before ultimately getting tackled, but at least didn't get sacked, gains a couple of yards. This was definitely something that happened last year, was Mahomes was doing a bit of a magician act to get away around some of the pressure, and it wasn't just Taylor. I think Donovan Smith also struggled on the left side, but definitely it wasn't not Taylor. Like, this one's going to be another one where what's going to happen is it's, again, a one-on-one block right here against Bosa, which, again, I get it. That's difficult, but there are going to be times when you're going up against a good pass rusher and you have to at least win. Like, I'm not saying you have to win every time, but you have to win sometimes. You do. Well, when this play begins, you see that right here, it's not a disastrous situation for Taylor. If you can kind of push Bosa behind the quarterback, you could be okay. But this is where things get a little bit weird. Taylor honestly barely touches him, but luckily for him, Bosa falls down. So, it still kind of worked out, and Mahomes able to make some magic happen and still throw the ball down the field because, again, he's Mahomes. But these are losses by Taylor, in my opinion. This is not Taylor being able to really hold his own at all. And again, things got a lot better in the second half for the Chiefs offensively once they just started helping out their, the areas where they were struggling, which was Taylor, a guy who they're paying $20 million a year to hopefully be able to hold his own in these situations. As for the run blocking, which we can talk about, like, I mean, it's not great. It just isn't. I mean, we kind of know it's not ideal. Like, this is an example. It's going to be a one-on-one block right here, and watch how right here. I mean, you notice that. Okay, first off, the situation doesn't seem that bad right here, right? I mean, like, this is a fine situation. You do see that the Ravens defensive lineman has his left arm kind of on the right side of Taylor, but watch him just kind of knock Taylor to the side. And I mean, he didn't make the tackle, but definitely got, it was not because of Taylor. It was more so due to the running back making a nice move there that the tackle wasn't made. But that is again, it's not an ideal play. And to be honest, I had a couple other plays, but I don't think I really need to get into them. So what does this all mean? What do we do with this information? Well, I mean, again, nothing now. Taylor's contract is what it is. You're going to have him now. I do think at a certain point they will look to see if there's ways out of it. I do think that's something that we'll probably see at a certain point unless we have a pretty big upgrade. I didn't think he was a very good player last year, and I never really understood the contract at the time. I certainly don't understand it now, and I think that one thing that maybe we overlooked that in a negative sense was the fact that, while a lot of people said, well, he's a pretty good pass blocker, you get him in pass blocking situations more often, like you're going to get a better player. The issue is that usually tires a player out, and I think we've actually seen a worse version of Jawaan Taylor than we're used to seeing. It's so far to me been a misfire. It's just a weird situation. I don't know exactly why the Chiefs made this decision to go out and pay him, but here's the benefit. You won the Super Bowl. It worked out all right? So even though you have a bit of in my opinion, a bit of a misfire, part of the thing and part of why it doesn't matter that much is you have Patrick Mahomes, who is unbelievable at getting out of these, pressures. Like, not a single play I showed resulted in Mahomes getting sacked because he is so good at making things work and making things happen, and again, getting out of pressure. So because of that, it's not the end of the world that I think that they kind of screwed up the Jawaan Taylor situation. I do think that in an ideal world, you would rather, if you're going to have kind of this tackle, not be paying them $20 million a year, or have just an elite tackle that you're paying $20 million a year. So I do think that, like, they could be better, but at the same time, like, again, is he a serviceable pass protecting right tackle? Yeah, he is. He's not someone you love. He's someone typically you'd like to have an upgrade of, and it's weird that he's getting $20 million a year. I do not fully understand that whatsoever, but at the same time, it's not someone that's going to sink the Chiefs by any means. I mean, again, I don't really love their left tackle situation heading into this year either, but I think the Chiefs will probably be fine because of the, just the Mahomes factor. But it is one of those things too where you just, can Mahomes keep doing it all by himself? I wouldn't bet against it, but there is that question. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Jawaan Taylor. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.